Before getting into the motion to dismiss, let's get up to speed.
You know that Justin and his team promised to start releasing all of his correspondence with her. They're saying we'll be an open book. And Justin bent over backwards to accommodate her many, many demands, which included, according to him, taking over the film. But they're saying she decided she wanted to take over and use the power of her fame and name to bully Justin Baldoni into the fetal position.
And here is a little snippet of Justin Baldoni in the alleged fetal position.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 in the morning. Hopefully this does not wake you up. I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it, and I think you and I have been trying to build a relationship, which I think we've done successfully. I mean, here we are talking like this, me into my phone at 2 in the morning.
So there's speculation that this may be one of the things, because it sounds like they'd already had their fight that night where Ryan Reynolds reamed him out. But, you tell me whether your husband wants a man calling you at 2 in the morning and whether there was something between these two that got Ryan Reynolds concerned that had her running to the harassment. I swear it was harassment place.
We only showed you a little tiny snippet of that recording because, my God, it was unbearable to listen to. Let's get into the breaking developments of B-list actor Blake Lively and unknown list actor and director Justin Baldoni.
All of their lawyers are due in court in New York on Monday for the very first hearing. The letter that they filed today and that her publicist filed yesterday is just a letter of intent. Judge Lyman will set a deadline later to actually file the motion. You did not know both of their lawsuits have been consolidated into one legal showdown instead of these two separate lawsuits. But I have no idea on what grounds these two are going to attempt to dismiss his lawsuit. I could understand some possible arguments that her publicist might make and fail, because I told you he's got evidence that the publicist was planting stories about him. He's got receipts. His lawyer was just responding publicly to what she initiated. Literally moments ago, Baldoni's attorney said
they worked with the New York Times. Her publicist worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages. They shared those together. They concocted a complaint that they filed with the Civil Rights Division. They omitted texts that would have provided context. The New York Times apparently reviewed 1,000 or more pages of text messages. They would have seen it. Justin never wanted.
The voice note dropped without warning. It was raw, unedited, and recorded in the middle of the night. Within minutes, Blake Lively's carefully constructed Hollywood empire began to crack. Justin Baldoni was captured on tape apologizing at 2 in the morning, sounding completely broken after an intense confrontation with Ryan Reynolds. What started as an internal production dispute had suddenly transformed into an all-out war of leaked files, clandestine recordings, and behind-the-scenes betrayal. The glossy, picture-perfect exterior had officially crumbled, leaving Hollywood's most protected power couple scrambling for cover. Industry insiders claim that Matt Damon has quietly entered the ring, armed with a devastating arsenal of intercepted communications. Sources indicate that Damon had grown utterly exhausted by the relentless backstage maneuvering orchestrated against Baldoni. Rather than staying on the sidelines, Damon reportedly began gathering concrete receipts, including private voice clips, text logs, and communication chains. He saw a rising director being systematically isolated by a massive public relations machine. This was no longer just workplace friction. It was an alleged campaign of character destruction, and Damon was determined to level the playing field. The initial tape that surfaced paints a deeply disturbing picture of the psychological pressure placed on Baldoni. On the leaked audio, the filmmaker can be heard speaking in a defeated tone, attempting to appease an increasingly hostile environment. His voice trembles as he mentions how hard he tried to build a collaborative bridge, only to be met with sharp reprimands. Sources reveal that Reynolds had aggressively stepped in, delivering a blistering lecture that left the director reeling. Instead of fostering creative synergy, the dynamic had devolved into an absolute power play designed to push Baldoni into complete submission. Behind the scenes, Blake Lively's strategy reportedly hinged on using high-profile leverage to rewrite the entire narrative. Insiders allege that her team sought to frame Baldoni's polite, late-night attempts at reconciliation as inappropriate harassment. By transforming creative clashes into personal misconduct allegations, the goal was to completely neutralize his authority over his own production. But Damon's alleged audio cache provides the crucial missing context, demonstrating that the director was simply reacting to relentless demands and trying to survive an impossible workplace dynamic. Legal teams have now locked horns in a high-stakes New York courtroom showdown, after both parties had their filings consolidated before Judge Lemon. The legal battle escalated when Baldoni's attorneys exposed how Lively's representatives allegedly fed selective, out-of-context digital correspondence to legacy publications. By leaking curated snippets while omitting hundreds of supportive messages, they attempted to manufacture public outrage. Over 1,000 pages of unredacted text messages were ultimately produced, unraveling the narrative that the PR machinery had worked so desperately to plant. Damon's private intervention allegedly stems from a long-standing disgust with how certain Hollywood elite treat their peers. Those close to the Oscar-winning actor reveal he holds immense respect for Baldoni's humanitarian efforts and integrity. Watching an earnest storyteller get ground up in a calculated PR machine pushed Damon over the edge. Insiders suggest Damon obtained access to audio logs where executives and associates openly discussed marginalizing Baldoni's presence. The evidence reportedly shows deliberate strategies to schedule conflicting press dates, ensuring Baldoni was effectively erased from his own project. Whispers are spreading that this is far from an isolated incident for Hollywood's favorite witty power couple. Former collaborators, including whispers surrounding past co-stars like Anna Kendrick, have reportedly hinted at similar calculating dynamics behind closed doors. The charming social media banter and polished interview roasts are allegedly a brilliant shield for ruthless career preservation. When co-stars threaten to shine too brightly or command creative respect, the machine quietly pivots to cast them as difficult, unstable, or unprofessional. The leaked audio clips allegedly capture unguarded moments where the couple's signature comedic tone vanishes entirely. In private meetings, Reynolds is described by insiders as a fiercely controlling operator who demands total narrative obedience. Staff members who deviated from their strict promotional vision were reportedly reprimanded without hesitation. The audio evidence circulating in industry circles shows a stark, chilling contrast to the laid-back, lovable persona broadcast across television screens, leaving executives at major streaming hubs genuinely alarmed. Panic has reportedly gripped the Lively Reynolds camp as their representatives burn through phone lines trying to contain the fallout. Emergency meetings have been convened with elite crisis management firms to draft preemptive statements and coordinate defensive media appearances. The plan was to bury the controversy under a flurry of charitable announcements and glamorous red carpet appearances. But with undeniable audio receipts circulating, the traditional spin tactics are failing to distract an increasingly skeptical audience. Baldoni, for his part, has chosen to remain largely quiet publicly, refusing to fuel the sensationalist firestorm. Those in his inner circle say he is focusing his energy on wellness initiatives and personal advocacy rather than engaging in a mudslinging contest. However, his legal counsel has made it abundantly clear that they will no longer tolerate fabricated claims. Armed with complete digital archives, they are prepared to demonstrate that every creative concession he made was met with escalating hostility. The legal filings detail how Lively's team allegedly crafted a formal complaint with civil rights authorities using selectively stripped context. By purposefully withholding surrounding messages that explained artistic choices, they attempted to build a case out of thin air. When Baldoni's legal team presented the full, unedited correspondence to the court, the dramatic discrepancies were laid bare. The realization that their own aggressive paper trail could be used against them has left the opposition on the defensive. Matt Damon's involvement has fundamentally shifted the balance of power across the entire studio ecosystem. When an uncred observer speaks up, it is easy to dismiss. When an industry titan with decades of influence steps forward with hard proof, everyone listens. Heavyweight figures who previously stayed neutral are now quietly reviewing the leaked materials. What was once seen as a routine creative squabble has blown up into a defining referendum on workplace bullying and celebrity overreach. The financial ramifications of this exposed audio are already beginning to ripple through lucrative brand partnerships. Both Lively and Reynolds have built massive lifestyle empires and corporate ventures heavily dependent on their universally adored public standing. Major streaming platforms and brand sponsors are reportedly monitoring the situation with extreme caution. If public sentiment flips permanently, multi-million-dollar endorsement deals and upcoming distribution packages could face immediate restructuring or cancellation. The audio leaks reveal how promotional schedules were allegedly weaponized to make Baldoni look like a disconnected outsider. By strategically isolating him during critical press junkets, the narrative was spun that he was avoiding his own cast due to underlying guilt. In reality, Damon's evidence allegedly shows that Baldoni was systematically excluded from group bookings to manufacture an illusion of discord, ensuring the spotlight stayed entirely focused on his high-profile co-star. Crew members on set are quietly starting to validate the contents of the leaked recordings through back channels. While many remain anonymous out of fear of industry retaliation, several have privately confirmed that the working atmosphere was suffocating. Baldoni repeatedly bent over backward to accommodate sweeping script rewrites and sudden logistical demands, yet, no matter how much creative ground he surrendered, the goalposts were continually moved to provoke an emotional reaction. The sharp contrast between Reynolds' public wisecracking and his behind-the-scenes maneuvering has become the central focus of the scandal. Observers note that their brand relied entirely on appearing effortless, humble, and endlessly entertaining. But the newly surfaced transcripts and audio snippets depict a meticulously managed enterprise that views any creative independence as a direct threat. The revelation that real careers were jeopardized to maintain this illusion has sparked fierce backlash. Damon's dossier reportedly includes direct voice recordings, discussing how to nudge Baldoni into public relations traps. The idea was to bait him into speaking out defensively, which could then be spun into proof of an erratic temperament. However, Baldoni's disciplined restraint completely disrupted the playbook. Left with no genuine missteps to exploit, the opposing camp was forced to rely on manipulated texts that quickly unraveled under basic judicial scrutiny. As the Monday court date approaches in New York, the tension between the consolidated legal teams has reached a boiling point. The preliminary letters of intent signal an aggressive bid for dismissal from Lively's side, but legal experts believe the motion faces an uphill battle. With documented proof that stories were planted and messages were stripped of essential context, the director's counterclaims hold immense evidentiary weight that cannot simply be brushed aside. Hollywood itself has splintered into distinct factions over the unfolding drama. While some traditional studio heads worry about the precedent of leaking private communications, a growing majority of creatives are rallying around Baldoni. The realization that a director could be bullied out of his own vision by superstar influence has struck a raw nerve. Damon's willingness to risk elite social capital to defend an underdog has earned him massive quiet respect. Every past interview, promotional interaction, and red carpet soundbite featuring the golden couple is now being re-examined under an unforgiving microscope. Moments previously celebrated as clever wit are suddenly viewed as calculated barbs designed to undermine peers. The social media landscape, once their most potent weapon for adoration, has transformed into a relentless forum dissecting their past behavior, proving that public favor can evaporate overnight when transparency is demanded. The panic inside their inner circle has reportedly escalated to round-the-clock crisis strategy sessions. Pre-drafted apologies and pivot narratives are being test-marketed to see how the public might respond if further damaging audio drops. But the sheer volume of evidence collected by Damon and Baldoni's legal defense means that standard PR deflections will no longer suffice. The curtain has been pulled back, revealing the machinery operating behind the charm. This high-stakes collision marks a historic turning point for accountability within the modern entertainment industry. For years, powerful figures could dictate terms and rewrite reality through friendly media conduits without facing tangible resistance. But when undeniable audio leaks meet fearless industry heavyweights willing to speak out, the old playbook completely fails. The narrative is no longer controlled by publicists, but by the raw, unfiltered truth captured on tape. The glitz and glamour of red carpets can mask many things, but it cannot survive the weight of concrete receipts. As the full truth continues to emerge in open court, the myth of the untouchable power couple faces its ultimate reckoning. In an industry built on smoke and mirrors, genuine character eventually exposes every calculated script. The world is watching closely, realizing that behind the brightest Hollywood smiles, the truth always finds a way into the light.